She's leaving unless you change, but you don't know how. Let's talk about how being the right partner is an identity shift, not a to-do list. Before we get started, hit the subscribe button and turn on the bell for notifications for when I post a video weekly. She's saying something's got to give. Something has to change in this relationship, and you feel her shutting down and pulling away. You know you can't keep making the same mistakes. You know that you have these defensive patterns that just keep coming up in the relationship, but you also think it's her. You know, you kind of identify it as like, well, she does this too. You know, she argues with me. She's defensive. She shuts down for me. Yeah, she does. I'm sure she does. The problem isn't that it's happening between the both of you. The problem is, what is the common denominator? And it's not about blaming your partner. It's about taking responsibility for yourself. If you want a relationship to work well, you have to own your stuff. You have to take responsibility for you. Your partner has to take responsibility for themselves so that the relationship itself becomes healthier. You don't want to lose one another. You don't want to lose your partner. Maybe you've been given ultimatums or threatened with divorce. You want to save the relationship, but you just feel like you just keep repeating the same cycles over and over again. Well, when you're desperate to change, but you feel stuck and you don't really know what to do, it's probably because you're focusing on what to do rather than who do I need to become in order for the relationship to heal and to grow. So many people don't understand what that means. What does it mean, who I need to become? If I'm going to break it down real simply, you know that being defensive, argumentative, abusive in your language, tearing your partner down, manipulating, you know all of these things are dysfunctional. If you do any of them, then you are responsible for your behavior. If you say, well, she does it to me, great, then she's responsible for her behavior, but you can't change that. When I have seen couples in the past, I've seen them kind of say things like, well, I'll change when you change. Well, how does that make any damn sense? It's I'll change myself, you change yourself so that we can create a better relationship. That is the agreement if you are ever going to heal yourself. The reality, though, is that things can kind of be a little bit lopsided. You might be a more defensive person. You might be reacting in more dysfunctional ways. You might be shutting down more often or using harsher language or simply doing things that are mean and cruel and hateful. When you're reacting with harshness towards your partner, whether that is a dismissal tone of voice or talking down to her, patronizing her, ridiculing her, making fun of her in one way or another, and then you claim that you're just joking, that's emotional abuse. That's what that is. That's manipulation. It's being passive aggressive. So again, when we are acting in these ways, we have beliefs that actually run that kind of programming inside of us. When you're trying to change yourself, you have to go down to the core of who you are to understand, how do I shift those beliefs around? So what does it really mean to change who you are? Think about yourself like a computer. Think about how your belief systems are almost like your hard drive. You're the software that's running your computer. If that software is bogged down by a bunch of viruses, then you need to update your software. You've got to clean it up so that it doesn't get into all the different systems of your computer and completely break everything down. I think of our negative or dysfunctional belief systems called schemas the exact same way. Schemas are dysfunctional programming that we have in our belief systems that are unconscious. We're not even aware that they're there. Just like viruses in your computers, you may not have any idea that they're even in your system, but you know they're causing problems. My program, Breaking Reactive Patterns, helps you identify what belief systems you have so you can reprogram them and change them. So when I say you have to change who you are, you have to go down to the fundamental level of what relational safety actually looks like, because that's where we build our relationships, in relational safety. If we have belief systems that are related to relational abuse, then you're going to engage in those behaviors. So for instance, if you were raised in a family where there was a lot of chaos and conflict, and mom and dad were always kind of at each other's throats, yelling and screaming or accusing each other of things, you're growing up in this world where you're kind of absorbing that information. And when your partner does something that you don't like, and you automatically react by calling her an idiot, or something she does that you don't like, and you say things like, "You're so stupid." This is an automatic dysfunctional schema belief that is coming out that is directly tied into the ways that you were raised. Because if you are engaging in that kind of behavior, then it's going to obviously hurt your partner. And if you're hurting your partner, you are not being safe. That's why safety is key in all healthy relationships. And that's where my program works with you to help you understand what those beliefs are that are rooted in dysfunction that create a lack of safety in your relationship. And then as a result of that, all of the love and connection and intimacy and bonded feelings that you have with your partner start to evaporate. And that's why you feel like the relationship is on thin ice. And that's why your partner is saying something has to change. And that's why your partner is thinking that they want to separate, divorce, or quit the relationship. So what does it actually mean to become a different person and change yourself? People think that they need to do things to change themselves. Like, I just need to be nicer. I need to control my anger. I need to watch my mouth. But that is so much easier said than done. The reason why is because so much of these patterns are unconscious. You don't want to do them. You just do them because it was the way that you were raised. And that reactivity sneaks into your relationship and just becomes corrosive and toxic to it. So you have to become a better person for the relationship and for yourself. What that means is you have to look into yourself and examine what those beliefs are. And you're going to need a guide because that's tough. For the average person, that's really hard to do. It was hard for me to do, and I'm a psychologist. So when people are focusing on what they do, they're mostly focusing on their reactive patterns, their fight, flight, freeze, and fawn patterns. They're over apologizing. They're trying to figure out, how do I manage my anger? How do I stop shutting down? How do I quit people pleasing? But the reality is that when we change who we are working on becoming more grounded inside of ourselves. We are working on becoming more emotionally mature, safe, more present focused, more integrated in our beliefs and our behaviors. And that leads us to being far more authentic, far more genuine, more of really who we want to be. So if you're only focusing on behaviors without focusing on identity transformation, your partner still won't really feel safe, because even if you say the right things and do the right things, it's not really who you are. So that's when people say, well, yeah, I approached my partner about this and things changed for about 2 weeks or 2 months, and then it just went right back to the way it used to be. Because that person didn't work on their identity. They're only working on trying to control their behavior. And I call that white knuckling themselves. They're just trying to hold on to desperately try to change themselves without actually rewriting the programming. So when we're really working at identity shifting, we're working at several things. Number one, you're working to identify what those schemas are in your belief systems. And once you identify what the schemas are, that's just the very tip of the iceberg. You have to then fully understand how these schemas come out in the stories that you tell yourself, your interpretations, your behavior, your emotions, how they feel in your body, how you use them to communicate dysfunctionally. And again, that takes a guide, because it is not easy to do. You're operating in the realm of shadow or the unconscious, out of your awareness, and it takes a lot to really understand just how deep those roots go. Number two is we're trying to really understand our nervous system, understanding the ways that those beliefs make us feel and how those sensations operate our body. So I often talk to people in my program about my reactive pattern is in the fight energy mode. So I feel fight in center mass. I feel it in my chest. I feel it in my shoulders, in my jaw, my fist. Everything starts tightening up and clenching up when something isn't going my way, the way that I think it should be, or if somebody hurts me. I have a tendency to become a bully because that's the way I was raised. I don't want to be that way, but my tone of voice changes, my physical presence looks different, and I become the thing that I don't want to be, which is a bully inside of my own family. I don't want to bully my wife, I don't want to bully my kids, I don't want to create dysfunction to the people I love. So the work that you do to regulate your nervous system means that you pay very close attention and you are always kind of like focusing over and over again, practicing understanding that sensation and how that feels in your body so that you can deactivate that sensation immediately before it comes out. Number 3, we're practicing being safe rather than being right. There are so many different beliefs that contribute to the problems in your relationship. We get so defensive about ourselves that we just want to protect ourselves at all costs, even when we are actually creating harm to the people that we love. And so many times we are so focused on trying to be right, or we're trying to defend our position or defend our opinion or defend our feelings as right, that we can't see the forest for the trees. We can get completely bogged down and in the weeds. You cannot logic your way into love. Love is a feeling that is based in safety. It comes from emotional connection and presence. It does not come from performance. It doesn't come from what you do. It comes from how you are. So when you get into your defensive modes, you're literally tearing down that structure of safety. You're jackhammering at the foundation of your house. Number 4, you're working hard to become the healthy adult. Now, what I mean by that is you're trying to break these immature patterns. These immature patterns are, again, defensiveness, all forms of defensiveness. So you look at how you're defensive. Like if you sit down and you look at your own defensiveness, you're going to see it as rather immature. You're going to look at it as like, I'm angry and aggressive and I'm trying to dominate and intimidate and control people. I'm shutting down and stonewalling you. I won't talk to you. I'm shutting myself in the room. I'm driving away. I'm people pleasing you. I'm doing everything I can to make you happy, to try to get you to engage with me, or to try to manipulate your emotions to get you to reconnect with me. All of these ways are very immature. It's exactly what children do to try to get their way. They throw fits, they shut down and they pout and they cry and they go sit in a corner. They beg and plead as a way to get what they want. It's all very immature. This is what I'm talking about. And so when you are using these patterns, just because you're an adult doesn't make them any less immature. Part of becoming more mature and changing yourself as a person means that you are adopting healthier and more mature coping strategies to deal with your emotions. Instead of, I feel frustrated and upset about something you're doing, so I'm going to yell and scream and call you names, or I'm going to talk down to you and intimidate you. I'm going to talk about how I feel and take responsibility for my own emotions rather than project those emotions onto you. I'm going to look at how when I walk away from something or shut you down and shut you out, that's an immature way of actually punishing you. That I'm trying to control you and get you to feel bad and guilty. Well, over time, when people do that, it doesn't have that effect. It only builds resentment in other adults. And when you're people pleasing, you're literally betraying yourself. You're so focused on your partner and what they're feeling that you are literally allowing them to treat you badly, and you'll do anything you can to get them to treat you well. And that's a process of self-betrayal rather than stand up for yourself and say, I love you and I care about you, but the way that you're acting right now is so hurtful to me. I don't know what to do with that. It's not okay to treat me this way. So if you feel like your relationship is at a crossroads and you feel like it in your gut, you know that you've got to make some changes, you have to work on who you are as a person. You have to understand what are some of the characteristics of safety in a relationship? How do I become a safe person in a relationship with myself and with my partner? We're not just trying to check boxes off of a list of things that I have to do to make this relationship work. We are really focused on doing the internal work of who do I need to be in order for this relationship to work. That might mean that you have to work on your patience, your understanding, your empathy, your listening skills, validation, emotional expression that is healthy, having an emotional understanding of yourself. Huge one would be taking responsibility for your own behavior and how you make people feel, whether you intend to make them feel that way or not. That also includes apologizing when you need to, your ability to be curious in your communication, your ability to be flexible and insightful into yourself rather than just focusing on what's being done to you. You focus on the back and forth, that I affect you, you affect me, but I only can take responsibility for how I affect you. Your gratitude, your humility, because all of these are the ingredients of love. Love is not just a feeling, it's a bunch of ingredients that all come together to form the feeling of love and connection. So that's why I say that love is a skill. It's the ability to have the skills to be able to do all of these things. Because simply just saying I love somebody, sometimes people think it's just about how I feel about them. But it's about how I am with them when they're hurting my feelings, or when they've done something I don't like, or they've talked to me in a certain way. Do I engage in abusive behaviors towards them? Do I shut down from them, dominate them, control them? Do I hurt them in some way because of that? Or do I investigate with curiosity? Do I listen? Do I empathize? Do I try to see their perspective? Do I try to understand? Knowing that if I'm going to do damage to my partner, I'm actually doing damage to myself as well. Getting interested in who you are as a person to save your relationship is where you need to start. Truly being curious about who are you? Why am I like this? What's going on with me? Why am I so defensive? Why do I shut down? Why do I act this way when I get upset? The keys are all in your programming. The keys are in the schemas. The keys are in your immature adaptive patterns. And the solution is in my program, Breaking Reactive Patterns, the blueprint for building a safe and healthy relationship. If you feel like your relationship is on the edge, or it's on thin ice, or you can feel that your partner and you are not very close anymore, you're not opening up, you're not connecting the way that we want to, there's little intimacy between the two of you, then you need to start working on yourself. Look below this video in the comment section for a link for a discovery call. On this discovery call, I'm going to spend some time with you asking you questions about what your situation is to see if you're even right for my program. My hope is that you don't wait, because you can't get this time back. And my hope is that you actually engage in something that's going to take you in the direction that you really want to go. I see people linger for years sometimes in therapy because they're not really working on the things that they actually need to work on. And their relationship can't wait. Things need to change now. So ask yourself, how do I want to spend the next 3 to 4 months? Do I want to spend it neck deep in a class to really rebuild myself? Or do I want to kind of spend it trying to piece it all together by listening to podcasts or reading books or going to therapy that maybe, you're just trying to piece it all together that it doesn't really fit? Take action. As always, thanks for watching.